Welcome back and welcome to Vlogmas day 16. We have our Santa's Coming jumper on today, which came into my knowledge because of the lovely Victoria Walters, who I do have an interview with on this channel, and you should definitely go and read her Christmas book because it's wonderful. But she wore it and I was like, I need that. I need an elf jumper. I have an elf phone case. I need an elf jumper. Anyway, at this time of year, I know that I struggle to carve out some reading time, even though I want to read all the Christmas books. I also want to watch all the Christmas films, and I also want to eat and drink all the Christmas food and drink. And the films and the going out to eat and the going to see of the Christmas lights takes away from the reading time, not to mention the wrapping of presents and the seeing of friends and family, which is wonderful and lovely, but you know, all takes time away from reading. And so what I rely on heavily, especially at this time of year, is audiobooks. So I thought I would tell you about 5 of the audiobooks I have enjoyed this month so far. So I'm not doing an actual mid-month wrap up, but actually it kind of is a mid-month wrap up because the only other books I have read aside from these audiobooks is one novella which I loved and I have a review of on my blog, and some picture books. So aside from that, this is basically what I've read this month. So I thought I would tell you about these audiobooks. Couple of them were actually on my TBR, a couple of them were not, so let's crack right on. The first one I enjoyed was Evergreen Tidings from the Baumgartners by Gretchen Anthony, and I have an arc of this one that was kindly loaned to me by lovely librarian, and but I enjoyed the audiobook. And this one goes with Violet Baumgartner, who writes letters each Christmas, and we see letters from various stages in her life, and then we see kind of what life is like right now. And we go from this picture of Violet as this kind of Stepford wife, everything's perfect, everything's wonderful, and then actually, you know, maybe this isn't so great, maybe that isn't so great. And also I love the fact that she has this daughter called Cerise, who is married to a woman, and the ways in which Violet and her husband deal with kind of that fact and everything that goes with it is very interesting. And it's always interesting when we actually have full-blown LGBTQIAP+ characters in adult fiction novels. There are often side characters, there are often very brief mentionings, but for them to be part of the actual plot is remarkable. I'm not sure I'm 100% behind the way that character's story arc was fully dealt with in the novel, but then it is dealt with through the character of Violet and her character tendencies, rather than, I believe, the author's views. But you know, when it's sometimes hard to separate the two. So I really like the fact that we have these characters as main characters, but I also really love the fact that we have this flawed, kind of almost unreliable narrator in this book. This is Christmassy, but isn't a Christmas book. And so I think it was a great way to kick off my reading month. This was the first book I read and listened to, and I did really enjoy it, and I wanted to keep listening. It was one of those where I'd kind of stay in the car until the end of the chapter, or stay in the gym until the end of the chapter, which was great. And then another Christmas book, which I have already talked about here on this channel, is Skipping Christmas by John Grisham. I had never read this one. I was aware of its existence, and so I decided to grab the audiobook and do a book versus movie on Christmas with the Cranks for you. So I will leave that video linked up here. And basically it is, if you have seen Christmas with the Cranks, Skipping Christmas is the exact same story with the exact same characters and the exact same dialogue. It is one of the closest book to movie adaptations that I have read in a very long time. So all I can say about this one is that it is relatively short, which is great for this time of year. It is definitely more of a novella than a full novel. And because I listen to my audiobooks on double speed, it took me just under 2 hours to listen to, which is great because that's a couple of decent commutes, and then you are done and you are in the Christmas spirit, and then you want to go and watch Christmas with the Cranks, or vice versa. So I definitely really recommend that one for this time of year, just because it is such a quick read and it's a familiar story. If you have even been slightly aware of the movie Christmas with the Cranks, it is still a familiar story. And then something, again, branching off slightly different. We've had a couple of kind of adult general fiction. Now we have a mystery. Now, I don't read a lot of mysteries. However, Bella Ellis, author of The Vanished Bride, which is a Bronte sisters mystery, this is going to be a series, is better known as Rowan Coleman. And Rowan Coleman is one of my all-time favourite authors. I also love everything surrounding Haworth and the Bronte parsonage, and so the fact that this is set within the family. I went through a stage of kind of reading all about the Bronte family when I first started secondary school, and this kind of brought it all back. I liked being in the parsonage. I liked the kind of interaction between the siblings, and then the fact that, yeah, this is a bit of a mystery was something just a little bit different for me, and kind of it's sometimes easier when you've not got a lot of reading time, or when you're kind of like struggling to get through the reading that you've got because you don't have time to sit down and read. Picking up something completely different is often a useful thing to do because it takes you out your comfort zone, but it also kind of takes you away from that, oh, this is another book like this, or this is another book by this author, and I'm, you know, trying to get through it before the end of the year or the end of the month or Christmas comes. So yeah, this was really good, and I have to say I really enjoyed the audiobook narration. I thought that the narrator for this one did a really good job and kind of definitely put me in that setting and put me with those people. And then a couple more audiobooks that I don't have physical books to show you, but again, very different things. I bought the audio and Kindle version. I did that thing where you can buy the Kindle version and add on the audio narration for extra, of Last Christmas, which has been put together by Emma Thompson and Greg Wise. Now, apparently I'm a little bit croaky this morning. We got the Polar Express mug here. And this is a series of very short essays on people's accounts of their kind of Christmas memories. And what they've done is they've pulled together people from all walks of life. So this book supports the charity Crisis, and specifically Crisis at Christmas, who provide Christmas meals and Christmas shelter for homeless people around, I think it's around the UK, I don't think it's just in London. And so the money for the book goes towards that charity. And then we have various people who, there are celebrities in there, there are people who have been homeless at Christmas, there are people who work for Crisis, there are people who maybe struggle with Christmas for religious reasons, there may be people who have had trauma at Christmas, and so it's Christmas memories from a lot of them. Obviously we have, yeah, some celebrities and comedians in there, and so there are funny moments, and then there are essays which will make you think, and then there are more kind of emotional essays in there as well. And again, I think that this is a good mix of things to listen to at this time of year, because it does make you kind of, you know, think and take stock just a little bit. And I like the fact that it's not all kind of negative Christmas experiences or positive Christmas experiences. There's kind of everything on the spectrum. And you have Emma Thompson and Greg Wise doing a little bit of the narration on the audiobook. Greg Wise introduces the writer of each essay, and then a narrator reads their essay. And Greg Wise and Emma Thompson both have their own essays in the book as well, as does Amelia Clark, who is obviously in the movie Last Christmas that was written by Emma Thompson and Greg Wise, that's a companion to the book. I did think about kind of doing a book versus movie on this one, but it's very much, it's just a companion novel. It's got the same title and it's got that same awareness of homeless at Christmas, but it's definitely not anything that you could compare. There's no kind of storyline to it. And it's interesting because you don't get a lot of Christmas non-fiction. And so I really enjoyed it for the fact that it is Christmas non-fiction. Also, each essay is very, very short. In a 15-minute journey, you can hear 3 to 4 essays if you're listening in the car like I am. And so it is perfect to pick up and put down at this time of year, and I really recommend it. It will be linked below. And then the final audiobook I've enjoyed this month is again something completely different. I put a hold on this one after being made aware of it at BookCon this year, so I was kind of been on my radar since the beginning of June. And this is Little Weirds by Jenny Slate, and it's one of these that I saw Jenny Slate's name attached to it, and I was like, oh, I want to pick that up. I didn't know what it was going into it. And it is a sort of memoir. There are memoir qualities to it. However, it is very much more poetry, I would say. I haven't even kind of read the synopsis to find out what I should be expecting. This is my interpretation of it. I would say that it is, it's not even going as far as saying that it is a memoir in verse. It is verse with autobiographical aspects to it. So it is poetry based on Jenny Slate's feelings and thoughts and some of her life experiences. That's where I would go. I really like the fact that it is poetic. It is not one that is useful to listen to in the car. It's more one of those that you can listen to whilst wrapping presents at home, or whilst, you know, doing something like eating your lunch or something like that. I think it's harder to follow in the car just because it is poetry and it is verse. And it's been the one I kind of turned to listen on a sleep timer before bed as well, because it's quite soothing to listen to because of the poetic aspect of the actual writing itself. And it is read by Jenny Slate as well. Because she talks quite fast anyway, I can't listen to this one on fully double speed. I can do 1.5 to 1.75 depending on my mood, but double speed is just a little bit too fast for Jenny Slate. When it first came on, I was like, whoa, not quite following this. Let's go back. So just, yeah, if you do speed up your audiobooks, be warned with that one. But it was a pleasant surprise finding out that it was actually more poetry than memoir, because that again is something completely different and sort of, yeah, a bit like my mystery book, out my comfort zone for this time of year, and so feels that little bit different. It feels like a bit of kind of escape from, oh well, I've got these books on my TBR, I need to get to them. Not that I ever feel obliged to read, but I think you get what I mean. So I hope you found this video useful and interesting or enjoyable. If you did enjoy it, please give it a thumbs up. As always, if there are other videos you want to see over the rest of Vlogmas, let me know in the comments below. Make sure you are subscribed so that tomorrow's top 10 video will land in your subscription feed, and I will be back with another video for you tomorrow. So I will see you then. Bye.